Welcome, and thank you all for joining us this chilly February afternoon. Thank you to our Maryland State Senators and delegates, service providers, community members, and most importantly, the family members and friends of those we are gathered to honor today. Thank you for coming to MNADV's 2022 Domestic Violence Homicide Memorial Service. We are humbled to have you join us today for this painful yet necessary occasion. We hope it will provide you a chance to grieve, as well as an opportunity to add your voice to the many of us working together to end intimate partner homicide in Maryland. My name is Jem Pollitt-Hill, and I'm the Executive Director of the Maryland Network Against Domestic Violence. As Maryland State Domestic Violence Coalition, today cements our 34th year of bringing together victim service providers, allied professionals, and concerned Marylanders of all walks of life to memorialize the intimate partner victims, their children, and bystanders whose lives were lost due to domestic violence in the past year. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, we historically would come together in person to collectively grieve the impact of partner violence on our communities and reinvest ourselves in creating change to prevent these tragedies in the future. While the state of our world once again requires that we gather virtually, we remain committed to honoring the victims who unfairly lost their lives this past year, between January 1st and December 31st, 2021. As we review their names, see their photographs, and read quotes from surviving loved ones in the ceremony to come, we remember that these individuals are so much more than just victims or statistics. These people are our family, friends, and community members. They are our parents, siblings, and children. They are beloved neighbors, our favorite co-workers, diligent teammates, and trusted friends. Today we stand in solidarity with their loved ones gathered here to remember that these individuals are so much more than the worst thing that ever happened to them. They are people who live on in the memory of all those who they impacted. While we cannot change the loss felt by those they loved and who loved them, we can remember them today for all they were and continue to be in our hearts. This year's service may be particularly difficult. As you will learn this afternoon, the number of lives lost due to domestic violence in 2021 is even higher than last year, which then was the highest in Maryland since 2007. We also hold space today for those whose names we do not yet know, those who are missing or not yet identified as having died due to partner violence. We do not accept these losses as unavoidable, but rather we fight to prevent more in the future. In remembering these people and their lives, we hope to provide solace that none of us are alone in our grief. We also hope to galvanize each one of you to join in our efforts to eradicate intimate partner violence and its harmful impact on our community. Collectively, we can end intimate partner homicide in Maryland. And we need your partnership to make this dream a reality. May these lives lost be the last.
Good afternoon, attendees. My name is Fiona Oliphant, and I am the President of the Board of Directors of the Maryland Network Against Domestic Violence. At our memorial service today, we are gathered to honor the intimate partner victims and bystanders who lost their lives due to partner violence between January and December 2021. While in 2020 we saw a drastic increase in fatalities compared to previous years, the highest number since 2007 at 56 lives lost, we are saddened to report another increase this year. In 2021, a staggering 58 Marylanders lost their lives due to intimate partner violence. Of these 58, 37 were intimate partner victims in abusive relationships. 13 were abusive partners. 5, including 2 minor children, were bystanders, and 3 others were killed within a situation of domestic violence wherein the dynamics are still being determined by the legal system. The majority of intimate partner victims were women at 92%. Ages of all victims ranged from 6 years old to 72 years old. Yet the dead are not the only victims. 47 children under 18 were left without one or both of their parents due to intimate partner violence this year. Gun violence is on the rise and contributed to many of these deaths. 100% of all abusive partners and 76% of all domestic violence victims in 2021 were killed with a gun. Murder-suicide and multiple homicides are also on the rise. 25 of the 58 total deaths occurred within the context of a murder-suicide, double murder-suicide, or attempted murder-suicide. This means that 43% of this year's deaths were within this context. 100% of murder or double murder-suicides this year were gun deaths. 100% of multiple homicide events, meaning double homicides or double murder-suicides, occurred after the intimate partner had terminated the relationship. We are unfortunately still asked far too often, why didn't the victim just leave? The information gathered through this year's cases paint a telling picture of why leaving is often the most dangerous time for someone experiencing partner violence. 1/3 of intimate partner victims were killed while trying to end a relationship or after they already had. Further, 100% of bystanders, including 2 minor children, were killed by abusive partners after the termination of the relationship. The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic may be worsening the risk of lethality in intimate partner violence scenarios. Spikes in homicides this year correlate to increased COVID restrictions, what researchers in the field refer to as COVID stress. While domestic violence exists in every social milieu, we continue to see divisions along racial lines in terms of its impact. Black women accounted for 60% of the intimate partner victims in 2021. For context, Black women make up only 15% of Maryland's population, meaning Black women are being killed by their intimate partners at a rate nearly 4 times their proportion within our state's population. Of 6 men who died due to IPV dynamics this year, both intimate partners and bystanders, 2/3 were Black men. Black men make up only about 15% of Maryland's population, so they are overrepresented here by 4 times. Similarly, 3 of the deaths this year, including 1 6-year-old child, were attributed to Indigenous women of Piscataway Kansai ancestry, all of whom were killed by non-Native men. 7% of victims' deaths may not seem high, but within the context of how few Indigenous people remain in Maryland, only 6% of the population making Indigenous women approximately 3% of the population, we see that Native women are overrepresented in homicides due to IPV by double. This is especially troubling within the broader context of violence nationally against Indigenous peoples. Native women and men have the highest rates of IPV compared to any other racial group. Roughly 80% of Native people will experience violence in their lifetime, and a startling 90 to 97% of this violence is perpetrated by non-Native people. Finally, 1 Black trans woman was killed this year by an intimate partner that we know of. This is within the context of an epidemic of violence against trans people, and particularly against trans women of color. The Human Rights Campaign tracked over 50 transgender or gender nonconforming people fatally shot or killed by other violent means in 2021. The majority were BIPOC trans women, and because many of these cases go unreported or misreported, this number is probably lower than what is accurate. Transgender people are over 4 times more likely than cisgender people to experience violent victimization, including rape, sexual assault, aggravated assault, or simple assault. Because trans individuals are almost twice as likely to experience IPV of any kind, partner violence is a major aspect of this issue. We share this information to demonstrate that intimate partner homicide is an intersectional issue requiring culturally humble solutions. While we are all in the same storm, we are not in the same boats. This is especially important when we look at the final set of trends pulled from this year's deaths. 18 deaths were brought about by an abusive partner with a history of denied protective orders against them. 14 deaths occurred within 1 year of the denial of the PO. 4 occurred within months of the denial of the PO. And 1 child was slain as his mother, after numerous tries, was finally granted a DVPO. However, at the other end of the spectrum, 6 intimate partner violence, 16%, had protective order cases against them, demonstrating how perpetrators can misuse a system meant to protect victims to further discredit and terrorize them instead. In 5 cases, the victims' families told the press that although they knew about and had witnessed DV in the relationship, the victim had not used or felt inadequately served by the criminal justice system. In two other cases, victims had utilized the CJS to get help for their children, but not themselves. Finally, 8 victims extensively engaged with the CJS preceding the homicides. Related to this, 29 perpetrators had a history of violent crime preceding the homicide. All of this information shows that many victims who lost their lives had interactions with the justice system prior to their death, yet just as many were in need of help but did not know where to turn. All of these people could have been helped, but we were unable to. We hope to build a Maryland where that is no longer the case. We dream of a Maryland where anyone of any race, gender, sexuality, class, or creed can seek and receive help. We imagine a Maryland free of violence. Thank you for being here this afternoon. Thank you for listening to what we have learned from these victims and their experiences. And thank you for helping us preserve their legacy. We hope you enjoy the program.
Claudia Borelli Gonzalez, Brianna Rogers, Linda Wiley, Tiffany Wilson, Tamisha Robeson, April Renee Lawson, Aline Hartliev, Lauren Charles, Jalen Quinones, Veronica Theresa McGinley, Nikia Jackson, Randy Antonio Thompson, Victoria Ann Santiago, Dasan Jones, Ivania Lee, Ryan Lee, Brittany Hayes Smith, Tavan Taya Ashton, Shelby Lynn Chialastri, Susan LeBrun, Florentina Maldonado, Dina Taylor, Rashonda Sharice Willis, Moyana Yani Tillman, Stephanie Chandler, Nikesha Thomas, Shania Green,
of a living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find
Pamela Pitts, Stacy Copes Hill, Leandra Sampson, Martina Patterson, Lanisha Greenwell, Wayniqua Johnson, Levy Williams, Tara Labang and her unborn child, Wendy Natalie Black, Tayshawn David, Tristan Shiflett, Brandon Sutherland, Marta Bruno Marino and her unborn child, Daniel Gregory Thompson, Lyric Brown, and now we take time for all the missing and murdered individuals who lost their lives to intimate partner violence, but whose names we do not yet know. We hold space for them today. Thank you for joining us for this memorial service today. We at MNADV acknowledge that this is a difficult and emotional experience. In order to leave you feeling hopeful for the future, we wanted to take some time today to discuss some of the things that the network and our allies throughout the state of Maryland are doing to reduce intimate partner homicide in our state. While 2021 had the highest number of homicides since 2007, it does not have to continue to be this way. In order to further our efforts to end intimate partner homicide in Maryland, in 2021, the Maryland Network Against Domestic Violence partnered with domestic violence fatality review team leaders throughout Maryland to start a new initiative, the Maryland Domestic Violence Fatality Review State Implementation Team, or Maryland Diverts It for short. This team of 70-plus professionals, survivors, state and county agencies representing 16 counties in Maryland has come together to begin implementing strategies throughout the state of Maryland that will reduce intimate partner homicide in our state. This team, brought about by the hard work of county fatality review teams in partnership with MNADV, began meeting in September of 2021. We believe that through this team's efforts in the realms of criminal justice protocol and response, public health and medical response, training and education, community services, and children's programming, all guided by a survivor advisory board who directs and evaluates the team's initiatives, we will reduce the number of deaths in Maryland due to partner violence in the years ahead. While the COVID-19 pandemic has presented certain challenges to doing this work, the network has continued working with our partners throughout Maryland during this public health crisis. Domestic violence fatality review teams are still meeting throughout the state of Maryland, reviewing cases and recommending changes which the state team will work to implement. The network thanks these teams for their dedication, their partnership, and their assistance in verifying these deaths this year. We further acknowledge the collective trauma of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, as well as the collective grief of seeing these names today. After today's service, we will be holding a healing space for anyone who knew these people or who wants to connect with others who did. We will be staying on, supporting each other, sharing our experiences, and sharing our grief. We hope that this will help each of you to leave the service feeling energized to join us in our mission to end intimate partner violence in Maryland. We believe that with your help, we can. Thank you so much for being a part of this afternoon dedicated to remembering victims of intimate partner violence as we all continue to work together to eradicate intimate partner violence and the pain it causes our families and our communities. We wish each of you a good evening.